Spectrum Sportsnet debut, Fox Sports national NBA reporter Melissa Rowland.
Yay!
Hello.
I'm so happy to be here.
We're excited to have you. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm next to the GOAT, and it's so funny because Braz and I used to work together at the LA Times, and I don't know if he ever knew this story, but when I first started out at the Times, our editor, Mike James, told me, if you want to be good, you have to read all of Mike Braz's stuff. And so I went back, I'm telling the absolute truth, and read 2 years worth of your clips.
That is ridiculous.
That's what got me here today.
I'm so sorry to set you back like that. I mean, you made it in spite of that.
Right, she said 2 years of your clips.
No joke.
That's a lot
I literally
of
read 2 years worth of his stuff.
Wow, that is awesome.
Wow. I don't even know what to say other than Mike James, a former editor. I did take him out a lot for dinners and drinks, so maybe that's all that was.
You bought him over.
Bought him over, for sure.
Well, we got to give you love because if you don't know Melissa, now you do, and we're excited to have her. You are great at what you do. As we dive right in, we take a look at the Lakers injury report heading into Tuesday's game. Wayne Ellington remains out, hamstring. Trevor Ariza out again, ankle. Talen Horton-Tucker out, dealing with the thumb. Kendrick Nunn out the knee. And then this one, which is where we will begin. Lebron, he is listed as probable, but is dealing with some right ankle soreness. King James' injury was a scary moment in Sunday's win, but he spoke about it right after.
The first thing I was thinking to myself was not again, obviously, because it was almost kind of similar, but not the same kind of play. A guy falling into my leg, and there's nothing you can do about it. I couldn't get my leg out of there in time, so I just wanted to try to take a moment on the floor, hopefully it wasn't getting worse. I had an opportunity to just tie my shoe again and see if I could continue to go, and I was able to continue to go, but it's a little sore right now, and obviously I think it's going to be a little sore tomorrow when I wake up, but obviously I'm a round-the-clock guy when it comes to treatment, so hopefully I'll be ready to go on Tuesday.
All right, so LeBron is listed as probable with right ankle soreness. Back-to-back games coming up, guys. There is 3 games in 4 days. Melissa, I'll start with you. Do you see this as a possible opportunity to get him some rest?
Allie, they better get him some rest. The man is 36 years old. He's in his 19th season, especially considering what just happened to him last night. We saw Desmond Bane go into his legs. Really scary moment there. He went down on the court, was grabbing his right leg. It looked like it could possibly be a repeat of what happened with Solomon Hill, which obviously sidelined him for 26 games last season. So really scary moment there. He said he was still experiencing some soreness. They better rest him. There's no way he's going to play back-to-back. He shouldn't even play if he's 100% healthy, but definitely not with what just happened.
Yeah, if there is a game where he is going to sit out, I would probably think it would be the Wednesday game, unless he's not 100% right off the top. The Wednesday game, you're playing OKC. This team is losing by 22 points a game on average. It's basically a G League team plus Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Whereas San Antonio, they've got some weapons. So the Lakers want to go 2-0 on the strip, and he's good enough to play both games. Probably play the first game and then just kind of mail it in the second game. Just rest, relax a little bit. Make sure you get healthy for sure.
We will, of course, see as time kind of unfolds. But when it comes to what we've seen from him so far this season, he's been taking a lot of threes when it comes to his game. He's taking nearly 10 a night, which is insane, but he's shooting it at a high clip, guys, 48%. Do you see this as something that's sustainable, or do we see him maybe changing it up as the season goes on?
The interesting thing about LeBron is every year he caters his game to whatever the Lakers need or whatever really team he's been on needs. And so 2 years ago, he became the head point guard. And obviously he's been a playmaker his whole career, but for him to take on that role, that was something new for him. And then last year he saw the Lakers really had a deficit at the three-point line. I think there was a 21-game stretch, Allie, where he shot 43%. And entering this season, especially now that he's older, I think he's trying to learn how to best affect the game in ways that require less energy. And he's become really great from beyond the three-point line. So I do think that's sustainable for him. And I do think that because he recognized that's one of the biggest Lakers deficits, he's going to be really big from there this season.
It's like mastering the opportunities within the game.
Yeah. Melissa brings up some great points there. Absolutely. He really is kind of shape-shifting to whatever the Laker team needs in a particular season. Will he keep shooting 10 threes a game? That's like Steph Curry numbers. I mean, that's unbelievable.
That's a lot.
As is 48%, so I'm not sure the 48% can keep up, but if he's over 40%, that's a great step for him, for sure. I mean, this guy, there's no doubt during the offseason, he probably realized Russ is going to be in town. I'm going to be behind the arc for a lot of clean looks. Obviously, he worked on that shot, and it is paying off for sure.
Yeah, when you talk about catering to what the team needs, you add a guy like Russell Westbrook who can get downhill as great as he can in the opportunity to space the floor. LeBron's pretty smart when it comes to this game. He understands what it needs. Moving on, though, Carmelo Anthony, when you see it, he is now in single digits when it comes to the greatest scorers of all time. He surpassed Moses Malone to move to 9th all-time on the NBA's career scoring list. And he did it in style, scoring 28 points. Here's King James on Melo's moment.
I think it always feels sweeter, obviously, in the win, and even more sweeter when it just happens organically. Yeah, he was just playing just straight up flow, rhythm basketball tonight, and for him to move, into 9th place all time in the scoring leaderboard is special. And usually when some of my friends have these kind of achievements, I text them or call them or FaceTime and then put something on social media. In this case, I got to do it in person, because he's my teammate now, so that made it special for me.
Melo played his ass off. I mean, he shot the ball extremely well. I think it was like 6 for 8 from 3. He comes in and gives us a spark. I've always been a fan of his, what he's able to do. Obviously to do it with a franchise, like the Lakers, probably huge for him.
I keep saying this, man, it's an honor, it's a blessing, but to be in that list, to pass Moses, to know what Moses did, what he did for the game of basketball. It's hard to put it in words. I'm still here doing it. I think that's what I actually excited about, that I'm here in year 19, still doing what I'm able to do. Still passionate about the game, still passionate about coming to work every day and getting better. And what better night, to reach 9th with a win, the way that we needed a win tonight. So overall, this was a hell of a night. Being here in LA and just the way that the fans embrace me, knowing the battles that I've had in here in LA against the Lakers, just over the years, and again, this happening in year 19, and for these fans to embrace me the way that they're doing, that's just I got to keep going. That keeps me motivated. Knowing that I got to support and cast the way that I have with the fans of Los Angeles.
I got to be honest, guys, last night when Melo had this moment, I had a moment myself thinking it is about the team and the team's success, and each one of these guys are about that. But the amount of individuals who are going to reach milestones throughout the season is pretty incredible. Oh, yeah. And when you think of Melo, Brez, not too long ago, he was out of the league. How impressive has it been to see what he's been able to do to still be here and be achieving what he is?
It's a great question. I mean, in 2018, he played about 10 games and then just didn't play the rest of the season. He was waived by Houston, I believe it was, and didn't latch on with anybody. So he did go to Portland the next year. It's like, okay, what does he have left? What can he do? He had 2 very productive seasons up there, kind of reinvented himself, hit a lot of threes, 40% over those 2 years combined. And we saw more of it last night. I mean, he was a big reason they won. When you see that number 6 of 8 from 3-point range, he was very humble after he did pass Moses and was talking to the media. And he said, hey, they gave me the game ball. They wanted me to make a speech. I was too tired. So he's definitely got a little sense of humor about the whole thing, too, which I appreciate. What a pickup for the Lakers. As Frank Vogel said, he didn't just pass the milestone. He blew the doors off of it. So good for him. And he could also pass Shaq, as you see there. If he averages about 15 points and stays healthy the rest of the season, it could happen in April.
Yeah, it was really cool to see him have that moment last night, especially considering everything he's went through. I talked to his trainer actually over the summer, and he talked about just how dejected he was during those sessions. Sometimes they'd have to just not play basketball and go out to dinner and just reset his mind. I mean, going from being atop the league, a multiple-time All-Star, one of the best players, to nobody wanting you.
Yep.
I mean, that's incredibly rough. But the thing is, he kept persevering. He kept trying to figure out how to grow his game. He comes back. He makes a big impact on Portland, comes to the Lakers, and then to see him last night standing in front of 19,000 fans who are all giving him a standing ovation, clapping, chanting Melo, Melo. That moment must have meant so much to him. It was really a redemption story.
Yeah, very cool.
And it's really cool to see that it's happening, but they're also able, in Melo, for an example as being the latest to do this, to keep the main thing the main thing. At the end of being so humble with it, we still were able to get the win. And when you think about this team and how it's constructed, how important is it, Brez, his ability to shoot the three ball, or just in general catch and shoot in terms of what this team needs?
Yeah, the Lakers woke up this morning. They were the top shooting team from three-point range in the NBA. I mean, how about that? And there's
I
two.
saw that. Crazy,
it's
right?
crazy, right?
Absolutely insane.
I mean, it's because of two guys. LeBron is really shooting the ball well from deep, as is Carmelo Anthony. I mean, Carmelo, he's shooting, 67% from deep? It's crazy. There it is right there. It's really stunning. Like, I figured he'd be a nice boost to this team, but to see the numbers he's putting up and to see him actually contribute to a win like he did last night, what a great breath of fresh air for this team. One of those guys on a veteran's minimum contract, so it's not costing them a ton of money, and he would just be so happy to put that ring on his finger in June for the first time in his career. And there he is already among the three-point leaders, fourth through just a handful of games here, Melissa.
Yeah, absolutely. And coming into this season, what were the Lakers' biggest deficits? Three-point shooting and perimeter defense.
100%.
And so Carmelo absolutely addresses one of those needs. And he knows his job is just to come in, be a spot-up shooter, space out the floor for LeBron, for AD, for Russ. And he's been doing his job, and he's been doing it really well. And he looks like he's having a lot of fun out there.
You can tell.
Chips, Hall of Famers, future Hall of Famers. Still nice to get your first win, right?
It's always good to get a dub, man. And you think about it, they played two really good teams, and people will say, oh, Memphis is not that good. They were 2-0 going into this, a very good team, a playoff team. People might think they're not because of the playing game, but this is a really good young team. They got Ja Morant, one of the most dynamic players in the league. You got Triple J, who's an up-and-coming big. So this team is almost a mirror image of what the Lakers were, so it's exciting.
Sunday nights, I'm sure you remember when you used to play, sometimes you had the Sunday night whites.
I love them.
Going on. And listen, sometimes those games could have like a low vibe feeling, low energy feeling, and then sometimes it's magical. Remember Kobe's 81 was on a Sunday night. It was fun on Sunday. It just had I don't know if it was just nice to hear the crowd. When Melo got cooking, it was really fun.
If you love basketball.
I haven't heard it in a while.
Yeah, you love basketball. You love games like this. You love the excitement. You love the up and down. You love the exciting moves.
Yeah.
You think about all the lobs that Russ had. You think about the moves that Ja Morant had. And then all of a sudden, you get a guy like Carmelo Anthony, who they thought was washed up just 4 or 5 years ago.
Get hot.
He goes out and shows you why he's ninth on the list in all-time scoring. And it's so great for a guy who went through so many highs and then went through a low where everybody thought he was done, reinvents himself, comes back in the league, and learns how to come off the bench. I think that's the biggest key, because when you're a starter, from the time you step into this league and you playing big minutes and people are depending on you to lead the team, and all of a sudden now they're looking like, no, we don't need that. It's an adjustment. And he has adjusted very well. And him coming to the L.A. Lakers now has made them a better team, and made them a really good bench team.
I know you know your history and you appreciate it and you respect it. When a guy gets top 10 in the history of the NBA in scoring, is he just a guy that can get I mean, what kind of player do you have to be to get top 10 scoring?
First of all, you're going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Because all those guys are Hall of Famers. And I think about, that list. I got to know Moses Malone personally. Yeah. And for him to pass Moses, a great guy who's not here with us anymore, and then he's going to the next guy on that list, Shaquille O'Neal. And so it's exciting for him. I know it's an exciting moment, because think about it. He probably never thought he'd pass those guys because he wouldn't be in the league. But that lets you know his perseverance, what he has done to reinvent himself in the game. Because when he first came in the league, he was a getting buckets in the paint type of guy, mid-range. But now he's moved it out past the three. So he's doing a little bit of everything.
It's funny. I remember a couple years ago telling people about Ja Morant. People that don't watch as much basketball as us. And, I'd always say, hey, make sure you get the Memphis game, because this kid can play. People who went to the game on Sunday night were treated to a star in this league. He's not a future star. He's already there, Rob. How special is this young man?
He's already arrived, like you said, and if you watch this guy play, there's nothing he cannot do on that court. He can dribble, he can pass, he can shoot, he can play defense, and then he can posterize you. That's the thing that worries a lot of guys, because I saw a couple plays where AD was like, I don't know if I'm going to block this shot. But down the stretch when AD knew we needed it, he blocked Ja's shot. And the thing about Ja, he tweeted out like whatever it was about him surviving failure and everything. It wasn't a failure. You had a great game. You look at what you did. I think he shot ball like 23 times, 27 times, and had 40 points. That's exceptional. I know anytime you lose, you can be considered a failure, but this guy's a rising star. And like I said on the show, he reminds me of Derrick Rose and when Derrick Rose won the MVP. So if they can finish top 4, top 5, he might have a chance of winning it.
Austin Reeves played some crucial minutes and played actually down the stretch in the fourth quarter a little bit.
Yes.
Frank's trying to figure out rotations. There's guys that aren't healthy, guys that aren't playing, guys are going to sit out for rest some nights. But Austin Reeves is a guy that can play.
You know, when I look at Austin Reeves play, it's like he reminds me of a guy who just knows how to play the game, like Caruso. And it was one shining moment. I remember Phil Jackson used to tell me, "What did you do today to step out and make me recognize you?"
Yeah.
Austin Reeves did a pass with his left hands down the gut to Dwight Howard that led to a basket. That was a frozen roll pass, sharp pass, and nice. And a lot of guys, they can't even dribble with their left hand. But him to shoot that ball straight to him was amazing. That play let me know that guy knows how to play the game of basketball.
Pretty incredible. We've covered Melo, Ja Morant, Austin Reeves.
Yes.
Who would have thought that?
Especially not in that order.
Right? In that order. Kind of went all over the place, didn't
All we need to talk about now is Bazemore and Malik Nunn, because those two guys were key defensively also.
And Malik went in late, hit a couple clutch free throws.
Yes.
That's always impressive.
Yeah, when you can come down with it, on the game is on the line and you need to make a three, you just knock it down. And then knock down the free throws.
Rob?
Yes?
Appreciate your time.
Always, man. I'm here for you.
All right. Allie?
Off our backs with a win. We're going into a road trip, where we feel like we can get both these wins too. And just kind of start going from there. Let this win be a momentum booster for us. These next, 10 games, we take it 10 games at a time.
Obviously, we still believing, and yesterday we had a very, very good mental day. A couple hours of some film and just open dialogue about trying to get on the same page, and implemented some of it tonight, and just gutted it out. Winning isn't easy in this league, and this is our first one, so it feels really good to get a win in this league, especially against a very good young team, a team that finished in the 8th seed last year, won a game against the 1 seed in the playoffs, so a lot of experience with them coming back, and tough group, we got it done.
Losing your first 2 home games didn't sit well with our group. Came out very motivated tonight, and we've got a lot of belief in who we can be this year, but we also have a lot of work to do. And we had a very, very productive film session yesterday. Cleaned a lot of things up, got on the same page with a lot of things, and the effort was much better tonight. The attention to detail was much better tonight, and that's how we're going to have to improve, and gel, because it's not going to be with a lot of practice time. We're going to have to do it with the mental approach, and we've had a lot of success with that the last couple of years here. So we got to keep that going, and it's great to get our first win.
And it was not easy, large in part because of that guy named Ja Morant, guys. He's a special talent, as Robert Horry said on our show last night. 68 points combined in back-to-back nights against both LA teams. Perez, I'll start with you, Ja Morant. Where does he fit among the young guards in this league?
I think he's maybe number one among the guys from the last 3 drafts, perhaps. Trae Young up there. Maybe Trae Young's ahead of him because Trae has actually won some playoff series for his team. We haven't seen that from Ja yet. I know they made the playoffs as a play-in team last year. Made Utah sweat briefly, but ultimately they did not win that first round. Love his game. You can tell this guy really worked hard during the offseason. Reminds me of a young Kobe Bryant addressing some needs in his game. His three-point touch is a lot better than it was his first 2 years in the league. Just seamless. Super explosive to the basket, looking for teammates as well. You don't put him ahead of like a Steph or a Dame Lillard or there's a handful of guards, probably 5 or 6 still ahead of him in the league. But as far as the young guys, number one on my list after Trae Young.
I have to agree with you. Averaging 35 points, made such a jump this season.
Huge.
He's looking spectacular, incredible interior passing, incredible shooting. But you know what I like about him the most?
What's that?
His attitude.
Yeah.
So when he missed that final free throw yesterday that would have tied the score, he mouthed "my bad," and then he went on Twitter and started talking about failure and took responsibility, and just the way he talked about it showed such a level of maturity, and I just found that really, really impressive in a 22-year-old. And if that's failure, then Brez, what's success? He was just absolutely incredible. Carmelo called him the future of the NBA. Frank called him a blur. He said that if you blink, he'll get past you. And those descriptions are just 100% accurate.
Yeah, in his Twitter, by the way, the 3 words was it failure creates character. I think it's what he wrote. And it happened so quickly that James and Rob were like, whoa. He addressed that already? That's amazing.
I was
It's
going
what
to
players
say,
do
I
these
wasn't
days,
sure
right?
what was more impressive, his play between the lines or how quickly he got on social media.
Right.
And was out there putting that, failure does build character, and it's pretty impressive coming from such a young star talent in this league. We spoke earlier in the show about the contributions of Carmelo Anthony off the bench, but Austin Reeves also has been a solid contributor, the last 2 games. In 3-man lineups, he's in nearly all of them in terms of the Lakers' best net rating. After the win against the Grizz, Coach Vogel discussed giving Reeves and Malik Monk big minutes in the win.
Yeah, they were terrific. I didn't expect to put Austin on John Morant, but it ended up that way because he's just playing well on both sides of the ball, and he did a good job competing. Every time his number's called, he gets in there and plays well, and I love Monk's instincts for the game. I really do. His scoring instincts, but just using his athleticism defensively. Getting up to speed with how we want to execute our defensive schemes. He's really coming along with that, and both those guys were a huge part of the win.
Melissa, we talk about Austin Reeves, Hillbilly Kobe, all the time. So I want to get your thoughts on him because we know what the team has thought of him, the respect he has earned. Are you impressed? Are you surprised? What's the word with him early on?
Expected it. And you know why I expected it, Allie?
Please.
Allie, LeBron and AD from the absolute get-go were singing his praises. And when they start talking about a guy in glowingly terms, just like they did with Talen Horton-Tucker last season, you know that it's only going to be a matter of time before you see him break out and become, a really, really huge player. And I don't know, by huge player, I don't mean necessarily LeBron's status, but he's going to be a huge player on the Lakers. He's going to be important. He's well respected already. You saw yesterday, immediately he comes in, he starts getting assists, he makes smart defensive plays. He's smart beyond his years. He's only 23 years old, but he plays with a lot of maturity as well.
Someone that they can rely on? Has he earned that, the opportunities?
Yeah, I think so. With so many injuries, too. THT, probably not going to see him till December. Ariza's the same situation. Not that they're the same position, more or less. But, when are we going to see Wayne Ellington? It's not going to be tomorrow. Frank Vogel has already said that. So, with a lot of injuries, it makes sense. Throw him in there, see what he can do. He's got a really good nose for the game. Obviously undrafted, not the greatest measurements at the combine. But like you said, when LeBron kind of takes a liking to you and sees stuff in you, there must be something there. So I really like what we see so far. Why not keep it going? No need to send him down to the G League, not with so many injuries right now. And another guy they picked up, Avery Bradley, pretty productive in that first game, not so much the last 2. So I think Reeves has already kind of taken over his minutes in that rotation.
Look, Melissa, to your point, when it comes to LeBron and AD, the quickest way to earn their respect and get on their side is to have that IQ and have that intelligence when you're out there on the floor. And Austin certainly has that. Malik Monk, another scorer off the bench. Do you like what you're seeing from him in terms of minutes right now?
Yeah, it makes sense. It doesn't feel like it's too many or too few. He really needs to be a little bit sharper. Just overall, he's been fine. But if he wants to carve out a role in this offense going forward, he's one of those guys. And this is nothing new. I've been saying this even before the season started. He has to get off to a fast start. Those are good numbers last night. If he's going to do 12 and 4 every night, he will maintain his spot in the rotation. But again, THT, 4th highest paid player on the Lakers, they play the same position. So when THT comes back, what does that mean for Monk? And Wayne Ellington, probably the best pure shooter on the team, coming back. Hopefully this week. We don't quite know when, but will he be able to eat into some of those microwave minutes? We just don't know yet.
Right, I agree with you. And what I like about Malik is he knows exactly what you're talking about, and he's taking advantage of it. He's really been infusing the team with a huge amount of energy, and he's not afraid. You see him driving down the lane. You see him shooting 3-pointers. He's really trying to take advantage of his minutes because you're right, he has a lot to prove. That this team has a lot of depth, and he's going to be fighting for those minutes. But so far, I actually like what we've seen from him.
I'm with you.
It's an opportunity league, and you've got some young guys taking advantage of it. They're trying to use Westbrook more in the pick and roll with King James.
Yeah, it's just something that we've been talking about a lot in our meetings and trying to incorporate it into practice. And I think late game, that's something that we like when they have an elite guard. That's not going to switch on to LeBron. We can get that situation. We got that one bucket. We also had a miscue where we were double cutting and just turned it over in the paint. But definitely a situation we like.
We haven't put in our full, I would say, playbook yet. Like you said, we have a new team, so we still are implementing ways where we can be even better offensively. So, that's one of them that we haven't even exploited just yet, that we just put it in tonight, that pick and roll. And, a lot of teams are not going to switch point guards on to me on the perimeter. And, if I'm able to get to Russ on a 3-on-2, his ability to read the game from that position would be with any playmakers in our game. And obviously he showed it, what he was able to do, getting up in the air, getting Adams to take a look at him for a quick second, wrap it around AD for the dunk. So it's something that's going to work very well for our ball club going forward.
Melissa, are you starting to see the fit for Russell Westbrook? I know we're only 3 games in, but are you liking what you're seeing?
Interesting, because I don't feel like Russ has been looking Russ-like. However, he's looking a lot better. He's starting to fit in more. It was only uphill after his debut. I mean, he could not have done much worse than that. And since then, he's been averaging double-doubles. He's still kind of struggling with his shot, but the Lakers have so much scoring. They don't need him to go out there and score 25 points a night. I think he still is trying to figure out how he can be himself and play alongside LeBron and AD. And it's going to be a steep learning curve from him. I still feel like he's deferring a little bit. So he doesn't look like the guy who they signed, the guy who we've seen in the league, the triple-double king of the world. But that being said, I think we're going to see a breakout game from him soon. And I think he's starting to come into himself.
Yeah, much better the last 2 games compared to that first game. Like you indicated, Melissa, really a struggle that night. His only triple single, he's only had two others of those in his career when he plays 35 or more minutes. So that was a big eye-opener. Much better last night against Memphis. I mean, worlds better. Yeah, indeed, the turnovers got a little high with 9, but not all of them were his fault. He had a couple fumbled passes and guys not in the right spots. I just like his whole approach to this. Yeah, I need to get used to them, but they need to get used to my speed, too. And you know what? They will. There's 47 coaches on every NBA staff these days. And Frank Vogel definitely wants to make this all work. And really, last night was a good step in that direction with Russ, as well as incorporating with the rest of the team.
When you talk about him having that breakout game, what do you think that's going to look like in terms of where do you need him to improve? Is it just the turnovers? Is it as simple as that?
Definitely the turnovers. I mean, he's been averaging, I believe, 5.7 a game. But I think more than that, it's just a matter of him starting to feel comfortable out there, playing like himself. Like I said, I just don't think he's looked like himself. And what I really like is his teammates have been emphasizing, Russ, we want you to be you. They're not putting him down or criticizing him. They want him to be himself. And so I think he needs to just figure out how to be himself.
Yeah, and I think to that point as well, Frank Vogel, after game 1, it was easy. I need to do a better job of putting him in positions as well to succeed.
Yeah, I really like Frank kind of taking that on and saying, hey, he's new to this franchise. We did win a championship together here a little over a year ago. We need to get him to his spots and make him feel comfortable. The one thing for me is probably the shooting from deep.
Right.
1 for 11 so far. Obviously, that's not the percentage that he wants. Then again, he's not known as a shooter. They did not acquire Bradley Beal or a Klay Thompson. This is not what you get with Russ. You get speed. You get the feistiness on defense. You get great rebounding, 6th in the entire NBA last season. But yeah, you see the number there. I mean, it's just not a real good start for him behind the arc. But again, that's not really his milieu through all these years in the NBA.
Indeed. If there is one thing we need to remember, especially when it comes to Russell Westbrook, he is diving into his 4th new team in the same amount of seasons. Patience will be key. It'll be a part of the mindset, the motto the Lakers set at the start of this season on day 1, Media Day. A day where we look back, courtesy of Backstage Lakers, for an inside look on the purple. And back to the upcoming calendar schedule, and we're going to do some win-loss predictions. Brez gets to go first, always. So, Brez, we're going to start with you.
It's in my contract, Melissa. Sorry.
Melissa's like, I got you. I'm going to follow your lead. All right, let's start with Lakers, Spurs. Brez, win or loss?
This might be the toughest one on their schedule over the next 7 games. I have them winning here. Spurs, first of all, almost all these teams are in big rebuild mode. Spurs are definitely part of that group. Good young backcourt, though. You've got DeJounte Murray, you've got Derek White. Don't forget Keldon Johnson playing a little small forward for them. Never underestimate Pop, period. I mean, my goodness, he is who he is. If I still have the Lakers winning this one, probably by like 4 or 5, it's going to be tight. I don't think I'd bet it in Vegas if I was there, but I do think they're going to come away with a win. Some nice momentum from the other night for sure.
First road game of the season. Melissa, win or loss?
The Lakers are going to win. It's interesting because
You sound so much calmer than me.
Lakers are going to win. Pop 72 coming off of the Olympics. The Spurs don't have any All-Stars right now, although I do think DeJounte Murray is going to grow into an All-Star.
Yep.
He looks really good. He's smart. He's hungry. He's extremely hungry, let me tell you that. Yeah, but I think the Lakers are just too good. Spurs don't have a chance.
I'm with you.
So you got them on the road.
I got them on the road.
All right. How about Lakers Thunder? It's a back-to-back, Brez.
Yeah, can you do like a double win? I mean, if you beat a team by like more than 20 points, I really think this has blowout written all over it. OKC is already not doing well. You know, they've been getting kind of beat up by teams in a very young season. They've got some work to do. They're even in more of a rebuild mode than San Antonio. Super young team, a lot of G League type of players in that rotation. This is obviously a Laker win in my book.
Melissa?
This one's just so obvious. They're headed straight to the draft lottery. 100% the Lakers. If they don't win this game, that would be really bad. Although I do think LeBron is going to be rested on this game. It's the second game of back-to-back. So the Lakers will be playing without their best player, but they have 3 other Hall of Famers in their rotation, so they will win this game as well.
And Carmelo used to play there, so maybe a little revenge for him. We'll see.
Be careful with this one. We're going Cavs versus Lakers, Brez. Win-loss.
Well, I don't know many people from Ohio that I like, so I'm going to go with a Laker win here. Just kidding, Allie, you are the best. Yeah, another team in massive rebuild mode. Some pretty good young players in the backcourt and the front court. Lakers actually need to be careful here. Evan Mobley, the second overall pick from USC. He's a good player for sure.
Melissa, Cavs, win-loss.
Oh, I mean, the Lakers are going to win. Sorry, Allie. Don't want to be ganging up on you right now, but...
All right, so you're going to win for the Lakers. You guys are 3 in a row.
Yep.
Brez, Rockets versus Lakers.
A nice little back-to-back for the Lakers here. This team is almost as poor as OKC. A double Laker win right there.
Okay, so you're going win-win.
Yeah, win-win for sure. This is just a really nice part of the schedule for the Lakers. We've been talking about it for a while. 2 tough games, and then it really eases up. Houston, another team, not getting blown out as badly as OKC, but still way too young to handle the experience of the Lakers.
Melissa.
Win-win as well.
All right.
I'm interested to see Jalen Green, the number 2 overall pick. I saw him in Vegas, and he looked really good.
He had a good game the other night, too.
Yeah, he did.
Highlights out there right now.
Yeah.
100%. He's going to grow into a great player, but right now, Lakers.
Yep.
Back to the Thunder. We going win again?
I don't think they've changed since we last spoke about them 45 seconds ago. So, yeah, another win for the Lakers.
You're going to win, Melissa?
Win.
Win? Melissa, you said that there was a loss on here, possibly. Brez, what do you got first?
I'm going to have them winning in Portland. It used to be a big jinx for them over the years, and they finally started to figure it out a couple years ago. I think LeBron James maybe had a little bit of a hand in helping finally beat that Portland mystique. Phil Jackson used to blame the rain. He used to blame the players going to the Nike store the day of the game. Now, they figured it all out. I think they win on the road in Portland.
Melissa.
I'm going to go with the loss.
Oh!
Got to mix things up. Didn't want to come across as a homer.
No, that's a good pick.
So I'm going for it. I think obviously any team Dame's on has a chance to win any game, any night. I also think that CJ McCollum's incredible, and they're going to really test the Lakers' perimeter defense, and that's been one of their big question marks heading into this season, one of their biggest holes. So I could see the Lakers losing this game.
Yeah, no doubt. If there is a game on this list, that's the hardest one for sure.
Brez had to go 7-0 because he said that the Lakers would start 8-2.
I did.
So he had no choice.
I've run out of room already.
We're headed to break. We'll wrap things up on the other side.